All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Happy Friday to everyone out there. It is September 22nd, and yes, I'm aware in yesterday's video I said it was November 21st. We get up early to do these videos. That was an absolute brain fart. We got a bunch of comments being like, dude, it's not November. And I'm like, oh, wow. You guys are right. But nonetheless, guys, we're going to go through each and every game on today's MLB slate. I'm going to give you my lean or leans as we talk about it. And my final play, so what I'm actually rolling with myself, will be in the pinned comment if you do want to fade me again. Final plays in the pinned comment. Check that out, guys. I usually update it by midday, always in by game time. And in terms of last night here, we're coming off of a nice 2-1 night. We'll take the cash, all right? Brewers cash easily. The Phillies, they have to sweat it out, but they do cash. And then the Cubs lose 8-6 to the Pirates. Once I saw the Brewers come through early, then the Phillies win, I was like, all right, we might be looking at a sweep here. Only for the Cubs to let us down. So that stings a little bit there, but doesn't sting all that much. Still a positive night, but we saw a sweep on the horizon. The money gun was getting ready, and we had to put it away. So 2-1 night, can't complain there, but was excited for a potential sweep. Guys, before we jump into the video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well, and go ahead and comment ride of the day if you do want to be the ride of the day. Yesterday's ride of the day doesn't come through from Dr. Strange. Yankees, Blue Jays, nerfy in the first inning. They get out of the first half of the inning, and it's like, all right, here we go. And then the Yankees put up, I think it was 2 or 3 runs in the first. So we got to drop the womp womp on Dr. Strange. If you guys do want to be the ride of the day, like I said, all you got to use is hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Give me a banger of a pick, and I'm picking one person in the comments, jumping on board with your pick, putting my money where your mouth is, and then you guys get a shout out in the next video, win or loss. Let's get back on the winning train of the ride of the day. I liked this pick a lot, jumped on it right when I saw it, just unfortunately did not come through. Let's go ahead and jump into game number 1 here today. We got Chicago taking on Colorado, the Cubs. That is, they're heavily juiced, minus 210 on the money line. And you'll note, guys, on the graphic, there's a lot of odds and lines missing super early as we're recording this on Friday. So apologies for that. We'll still talk about each and every game, but we may be missing some lines and have some question marks. But nonetheless, we'll still dive into plenty here. But the Cubs, minus 210 on the money line. The total, we do have an update on. Total sitting at 9 right now. As much as the Cubs burned me yesterday, I have no interest in looking at Colorado either on the money line or on the run line here. So I guess I'll lean towards Chicago on the run line, but it's absolutely asinine to do that. They have not covered as a favorite in 8 of their last 9 games as a run line favorite at minus 1.5. They have only won, one game in their last 8. Like, they're not playing good baseball, but this Colorado team, I just can't truly trust them. If you guys want to take a flyer, Colorado's probably the play because you're going up against a Chicago team that's pretty bad, and Colorado getting plus 180 right now in terms of money, but this game doesn't fully really have my interest. If anything, my favorite play in this game is probably going to be the under, but the thing that might throw that out the window is the fact that Jameson Taillon's on the mound for the Cubs. I feel like I can't really trust him. He's kind of a hit or miss, and then you have Noah Davis on the mound for Colorado, who he'll pitch 3 innings and let up 5 runs on any given night. So I like the under from the offensive perspective, but then those pitchers may talk me out of that right away. So yeah, like I said, if you want the flyer, go with Colorado. If you want to bet on the better team, you got to look at run line for Chicago, which isn't all that sexy. It's kind of a tough spot just given the odds involved. All right, no odds or anything in this game yet because we don't know who's pitching for the Pirates, but Andrew Abbott gets the rock for the Cincinnati Reds today, and I do think that I like the Reds in this spot. Now, I want to know what the odds are obviously going to be, but Andrew Abbott had a decent performance against the Cubs back in early or mid-ish August here. 5 2/3 pitch, 2 earned runs, 9 strikeouts, 17 pitches per inning, and one of those earned runs, he did let up a home run, so it was kind of a big ball there. So I do like his performance. I think that the Cincinnati plays well when he pitches. They have won 2 of the last 3 that he starts and 3 of the last 5. I'll trust him. I don't think that Mitch Keller is going to get the ball for Pittsburgh, who's been one of the only guys that I truly have trusted with the Pittsburgh pitching situation as of late. I think he just pitched a couple games ago, so we know we're not getting him. We could be looking at Ortiz or Selby. So yeah, I'll take Cincinnati in the spot if the money is making sense here. They are at home. They're coming off of a series in which they're due for a win here. They looked good in game number 1 against Minnesota, and then lose 7-0, and then lose 5-3. I think they're ready for a win. Give me Cincinnati. If the total is anywhere around, say it's 8 flat, I'm looking at the over. If it's 8.5, I'm probably passing it away there. So that's kind of where I stand on this. Hate to give you guys hypotheticals, but I'd rather cover the game than just be like, well, we don't know anything about it, you know, let's pass. If we didn't know either pitcher and didn't have either odds, we'd be more inclined to be like, all right, we're not really sure. But we know Andrew Abbott's on the mound. I like the pitcher, and I like the spot for Cincinnati, so I'm going to lean towards them, regardless of what the odds are now. But keep an eye on the pinned comment to see if that becomes a final play, and to see if we were to make it a final play, what the odds that we get it at is. Miami taking on Milwaukee. We don't have a starter for Miami yet, but we do know who's on the mound for Milwaukee, and that is going to be Corbin Burns, who has literally been good start, bad start, good start, bad start, good start, bad start. His last start was a bad start, so technically speaking, if he follows this trend, he is due here for a good start. And the last time he pitched against Miami, now it was about a year ago, so take that for what it's worth. 8 innings pitched, only 4 hits allowed, 12 pitches per inning, 0 earned runs, and 7 strikeouts here. He is pitching from the right side, which hasn't necessarily been where Miami has succeeded lately. They've been crushing lefties in some cases, but not righties right now. So I like Milwaukee in this spot. I wish we knew who was on the hump for Miami, obviously, so that we can kind of get a better idea of it. Cueto possibly, but yeah, we don't even have a probable for them. So I'm going to lean towards Milwaukee. I think they're playing good baseball. Yes, you know, they had their sort of a couple bad losses within their last 10. They just took, was it 2 of 3 against Miami when they last played a couple series ago? They took 2 of 3 against Washington, and then they swept what should feel like a sweep against St. Louis. They lose the first game, but then win the latter 3 in that 4-game series. Give me Milwaukee, depending on the odds here. The total right now, I think this was down at 7.5 in each of the games that they played against Miami in the last series, right? So I do think that this is, I think actually, now that I think about it, that might have been a 4-game series in which Milwaukee won 3 of the 4. So we like that even more, but I believe these were low totals. If I do, my memory's not always that good, but sometimes I have nuggets where I'm like, I'm pretty confident that these were low totals, like 8, 7.5, 8. If that's the case, I am going to look at the under, because I do think that, you know, Milwaukee, as good as they've been, and the amount of runs that they've been scoring, I do think that the way that they usually play games is going to be looking at sort of a like a 4-3 type of game or anything like that. In fact, on the season, they've had 79 unders and 68 overs, and Miami also has had more unders than overs. So though the offense has looked good as of late, I'm reckoning to bet, which obviously this is a betting show, that this does kind of come back down to earth and their offense goes back to scoring, you know, 5 runs maybe, and they win this game 5-2 or 4-2 or something like that. But obviously I want to know who's on the mound for Miami before making any sort of final play on that. Tampa Bay taking on Toronto. I like Tampa Bay in the spot, but -150 seems like it's a decent amount, too much to be paying for that. Toronto's coming off a series in which they take 2 of 3 against the Yankees. I got a bunch of crap in the comments yesterday being like, the Yankees are playing for nothing, Toronto's playing for everything, it's an obvious Toronto money line spot. And I'm like, the Yankees may be playing for nothing, but Garrett Cole is trying to solidify a Cy Young season. And don't tell me that every single person doesn't have a little bit of statistical selfishness in them at some point, you know? Like, he's going to want to go out there and deal, and he did. 8 innings pitched yesterday. The Yankees win that one 5-3. So though, you know, not everyone's a team player, especially in the MLB when they're looking for money and stuff, right? Remember that, guys. Just because the Yankee season's over, if they have a guy looking for, you know, a crowning achievement, another one, it's like, I wouldn't count him out. And Garrett Cole did his job yesterday. But anyways, Tampa Bay coming off winning 2 of 3 against the Angels, bouncing back yesterday after a loss a couple days back. On the mound for Tampa Bay is going to be Tyler Glasnow here. Actually looked really, really bad in his last start against Baltimore. Baltimore, obviously a good baseball team, but not this good. 4 innings pitched, 6 earned runs on 8 hits, a home run, let up 20 pitches per inning. The dude did not look all that great. Going up against Chris Bassett here, who has been kind of steady, has a couple games you'd like to throw out, but those are more throw-outable games. Obviously, I think he'd like to throw them out. But on the season here, 3.78 ERA. In his last 3, a 3.5 ERA, kind of sticking right with that 1.2 whip. But Glasnow, 3.61 on the season with a 1.09 whip. He is is the better pitcher. I'm going to give him the edge there. And then in terms of the offense here, both these guys pitching from the right side. Toronto's been struggling against righties. 204 in their last 10, hitting for average against righties here. 4.2 runs per 9 with a 275 on base percentage. Yeah, I'm going to look at the under. I'm going to look at Tampa Bay in this one, as well as the under, even though that line is way down there, because I just rag on Toronto's offense. Well, if you make the sample size even smaller here, in their last 5, Tampa Bay also struggling against righties. 202 average, averaging only 3 runs per 9 with a 288 on base percentage. So yeah, swallow those 2 pills. These are 2 offenses that obviously have names and some good players, not batting against righties well as of late. The only thing that could keep this from being a final play, and I'll be transparent, is the fact that that line is at 7.5. You know, it's like, do we really want to risk it all for a 7.5 line in which you can have a 5-3 game that, you know, they really just dink and dunk runs all game long, and you still cash only with 8 runs, right? Or don't cash, it blows the cash. So that'll be the only sort of determining factor as to whether or not I have the cojones to take an under 7.5. But I do think these offenses are going to struggle today to some degree. But yeah, I like Tampa Bay on the money line as well. Minus 150 is a lot to be paying. All right, guys, before we continue on with the slate, I want to talk to you about Sleeper. If you have not checked out Sleeper, you've heard me talk about it in plenty videos. We hit a 3-man hit parlay over on Sleeper yesterday as well, and that's what I love about Sleeper, the dynamic payouts. Obviously, you have the prize picks, the underdogs of the world, and each and every selection that you make, it has a fixed payout structure. Not on Sleeper. You can win up to 100 times over there because each and every player has their own multiplier, so you can put 2 to 8 players into one slip, and obviously the more you get right, the more you get paid out. It's an amazing DFS Pick'em app, guys. And if you want to check it out, you can either use code GUYBOSTON, GUYBOSTON, or use the link in my pinned comment, guys, and you get 100% of your first deposit match. It's an absolute no-brainer. I use this app every single day. There's proof of that on my TikTok at EvPicks 3.0, picks with a Z, and then at EvGuyBoston on Twitter. I'm posting plenty of slips over there as well. Guys, by the way, follow me on those. Here's my Twitter right here. Follow me on those because I'm posting more player prop content than you see sometimes on the channel. But yeah, go check out Sleeper, guys. Obviously, if you use the code or you use that link, it also supports me, so it's another way of supporting the channel here. But yeah, I wouldn't blow smoke up your ass to tell you that pretty much every time we do an ad read or so. Like, no, these are apps that I use. They're either research tools that I use or apps that I use for fun and for sports betting in general. So go check it out, guys. That link is in the pinned comment. Now let's go ahead and get back to the slate. Phillies taking on the Mets here. Tyler McGill's been pitching fairly well, not getting much run support from his team, but he's got a 1.8 ERA over his last 5 here, going up against Taijuan Walker, who, needless to say, has been truly struggling as of late. But I don't necessarily love this spot for the Mets, or I don't love betting the Mets, but the Phillies, they got the win yesterday. They kind of had to squeeze it out, and they had a huge pitching discrepancy, in my opinion, yesterday. Today, the pitching edge may even go, especially recency bias here, may even go to the Mets. And they're batting, you know, both these pitchers righties. The Mets are batting righties way better than the Phillies are as of right now. I can't believe I'm saying it. I'm looking at the Mets here on the money line for some big money, too. Plus 140 over on Caesars. Like, I can't believe I'm doing it. You guys have talked about it on the channel before, right? I like hesitate to bet the Mets because I just don't trust the team. But this Phillies team, as good as they are, do struggle pretty heavily against righties. In their last 5, batting just 207 against righties, where the Mets looking at 296 against righties. So yeah, it's kind of crazy, but give me the Mets on the money line. Taijuan Walker, like I said, he's been struggling for the Phillies here. 7.27 ERA with a 1.15 or 1.5 whip, even worse, right? So yeah, like I said, kind of crazy. I don't feel super comfortable with it, but I think we're going to lean towards the Mets on the money line here. And like I said, this Mets team is batting well. They are, again, you know, as of late, batting really well, but you know, they aren't the biggest of good offenses, so that's what makes it a little skeevy. But we'll go with the Mets here on the money line. Total sitting at 9 runs as of right now. I think this one, I'm going to lean towards the over because it gives us a little bit of a safety net here, taking the Mets. Like, if the Phillies decide to go off, and, you know, if we were to make the Mets the money line of final play and the over, the Phillies do decide to go off and kind of go against the grain as to what they've been doing. I think that just helps the over altogether, and it's kind of like a safety net play, right? So keep an eye on the pin comment. In fact, now that I even talk it through, I may only look at putting those together in terms of if one's a final play, the other one's going to be a final play, because the only way the Phillies, I think, are going to win this game is by scoring scoring a bunch of runs today. I don't think that they're going to really be able to hit for average in terms of, winning this game at a small margin. This Mets offense's batting rate is way better than the Phillies. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys why I would make both those final plays and not just one. It probably doesn't because I'm a dummy. But hey, I'm willing to admit it. But let's go ahead and move on to the next game. I can't believe I'm betting on the damn Mets potentially. All right, Washington taking on Atlanta. Yesterday, the game, I guess, goes like you'd think. Atlanta 10-3 here. And looking at the similar thing, I think that we only really can consider Atlanta on the run line here, they've covered that in 2 of their last 3 as favorites, but the thing is, even as run line here, they're minus 150, so the odds aren't really all that great. I don't mind the over 9.5. I just worry that Washington isn't going to be able to contribute towards that. Now, they scored 13 runs against Chicago a couple games ago, but before that it was 1 run, 4 runs, 3 runs, so I think you can never really confidently take an under with Atlanta in the picture, but 9.5 there for even odds over on Caesars. Seems like there could be some value there when you're talking about an Atlanta team, right? So I'll take the over in terms of a lean here. Don't really love anything on the side just because of the odds that we're looking at here. And guys, before we get going, I got a question for you, all right? We're not going to do the comment the number at the time of the video because, sometimes that gets stale and I like to mix it up. And I was thinking about this before we hopped on and just watching baseball. If you were an MLB pitcher, and we all know we all had the talent, we just didn't get a fair shake, right? If you were an MLB pitcher, would you rather be like a heater thrower, meaning like you throw 101, or would you love like a junk pitch, like an off speed, an amazing curve, or a crazy slider or something like that? Let me know in the comments by either commenting heater or commenting junk. All right, people are gonna see that, the guppies are gonna see that and be like, oh wow, they're calling this guy's video junk too, huh? They're calling this guy's video junk, and the guppies are gonna love it. By the way, don't be a guppy shirt and hoodie on the website right now, fademe.store. Go pick it up. But yeah, comment junk or heater. What type of pitcher would you be? I feel like the easy answer is heater, but when you think about it, there's nothing like getting a guy to fall to his knee on some sort of a curveball that rolls off the table. You know what I mean? So I think I would go with junk, even though it's not the flashy one. It's kind of like the I feel like a 14-year-old saying this, but it's kind of like the nastier pitch, the sicker pitch. You know what I mean? So I'll go with junk here. But let's go ahead and move on with the slate. Let me know what you would go with in the comments. All right, Yankees taking on the Diamondbacks here. Not the sexiest of matchups, but I do like the Diamondbacks in this spot. What I hate is Brandon Pfaadt is pitching for them, but he's coming off a good outing against Chicago. 5 1/3, 4 hits, 0 earned runs here. Only 13 pitches per inning. Hopefully he goes out and does something like that. He's going up against Luke Weaver, who you can't trust as far as you can throw him here. 3 flat ERA over his last 5, only averaging 3.2 innings pitched, which is understandable. 7.04 ERA with a 1.7 whip over his last 3 starts. So don't really love that. And then if you look at it from an offensive perspective, both these guys obviously thrown from the right side. Last 5 here, though, Arizona batting .306 for average, averaging 7 runs with a .364 on base percentage against righties. The Yankees, .209 average, 3.1 runs per 9 with a .286 on base percentage. So, the discrepancy is pretty clear here. I'll take Arizona. They are underdogs as well, plus 108. I think that's some, good value in them. And then the total sitting at 8 runs. I've seen it at 8.5 as well. I think I'm going to lean towards the under if we can get it at 8.5. Right now, I only see 8.5 on DraftKings, but I'm wondering if the other books are moving in that direction and DraftKings is just first, or if DraftKings is last. So we'll see. I probably don't play this at 8, but if it's 8.5, I don't mind the under here. All right, battle of the Sox. Who stinks more? Who has the stinky socks? You need to throw those in the wash. We got Chris Sale and the Red Sox taking on Touki Toussaint and the White Sox here. I like the Red Sox to win this game, but they're minus 215, which is way too much juice to be paying here. So I don't really have much that I like on this game when it comes down to it. I guess I'll take a peek at the over. Whether or not the Red Sox have been scoring a lot of runs, they've been in a lot of high-scoring games, and you can almost say the same for Chicago. 3 of their last 5 or so have been really high-scoring games. They've only really contributed to that in 2 of their 5, but nonetheless, I'll take the over. It's super high at 9.5. I just don't trust either one of these pitchers to keep the offenses down, especially when both of these pitchers are coming off of good starts. It's like we haven't really seen Chris Sale, and obviously comes back from injury. We haven't seen him put 2 good starts together in God knows how long. And then Touki Toussaint, same sort of thing. He just pitched 5 innings, 1 earned run, 8 strikeout game. Like, I think that both these guys snap back to reality, and then oops, there goes gravity, and there's some home runs in this game. So I'm gonna lean towards the over, even though the total is way up there. But you can get it at plus money over on DraftKings right now to take that over 9.5. Don't think it becomes a final play. I'll keep that fully transparent with you guys, but I don't really think the under is worth considering with these two guys on the mound. All right, Cleveland taking on Baltimore. This is an interesting one because Baltimore, I wouldn't say they've been playing the greatest of baseball. Cleveland, nor have they. You have Dean Kramer on the mound for Baltimore. The team's 5-0 when he starts. He's got a 1.4 ERA over his last 5 games, and that is with a bad game included. 4 1/3 with 5 earned runs against St. Louis just recently. Going up against Shane Bieber, who he's kind of struggled. He's got a 3.4 ERA in his last 5. This smells like it could be a trap. You're only getting Baltimore right now -112 on FanDuel. I think they're the clear-cut better team. They have what should be the pitcher that's pitching better as of late. And, these offenses, I would put them right around the same sort of ballpark as one another. So skeeves me out just a little bit. This bullpen for Baltimore has been struggling. I can admit that. On the season, they got a 3.26 ERA with a 1.2 whip. In their last 3, they have an 8.87 ERA with a 1.7 whip. But the available guys today on the season, 2.51 ERA with a 1.08 whip. So I do like that. Hopefully they do have a good bounce back spot here because I like Baltimore on the money line. But like I said, some skeeves me out about the lines here. Like if I were to, not see this line, you tell me Baltimore's playing Cleveland game 1 of a series. I'm looking at Baltimore, or game 2 of a series, excuse me. I'm looking at Baltimore coming in being like, just like they were yesterday, which was, forget what the odds were yesterday, but they were like -150, right? So I don't necessarily see what changed. Just because Cleveland takes a W in a series, or takes a W in game 1 of a series, these are two different pitchers, right? New game. So a little interesting to me to see this line out there today. But I'll take Baltimore on the money line. Total sitting at 8. I like the over. I saw 7 runs yesterday, but I think that, Baltimore didn't really show up to the plate. So I think they do that today. Maybe Cleveland digresses or regresses just a little bit, but Baltimore kind of steps up. So I like the over 8 as well. All right, Texas taking on Seattle here. We talked about Seattle getting out of the doghouse, right? They've started to get out of the doghouse. I think it was 2 games ago I said they needed to win by at least 3 runs. They did just that. And you have Texas, who they had their backs against the wall. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you think I'm crazy. This is sort of a ban game, these two teams have both been either banned or close to being banned this season. Texas had their backs against the wall in terms of ban, and they beat the Red Sox. They stayed clean. Seattle, I gave them one opportunity. Get out of the ban or the doghouse, maybe if you beat Oakland by 3 runs, and they did that in game number 3 of that series. So now this is a really sort of indicating series as to where we move from here. Neither team technically banned because I'll let Seattle out of the doghouse, but these are 2 teams that I've bet on. Like if you were to have a top 5 of teams that I've bet on this season, these 2 teams certainly in there, right? That's why we had to almost ban Texas and ban Seattle, because we were playing them too much. That's what it is. But it is kind of cool to see them play against one another. In terms of what they've done head to head, they have played a few times obviously this season. Texas has dominated in 6 times this season. Texas has won 5 of them. Today, Dane Dunning on the mound, who had a good start last time out, but had looked kind of mediocre prior to that. Seattle is pitching Bryce Miller, who same thing, good start last time out, but prior to that was looking a little mediocre. So I'm going to turn to the offense in this spot, and I'm going to take the home team, the Texas Rangers here, who in their last 5 are only batting .242 against righties. In their last 10, they're batting .269 against righties, which is a little bit better. But I look at that last 5 because Seattle batting .192 for average against righties in their last 5 with a .257 on base percentage. So I like Texas in this spot. Who knows where the rest of this series can go, to be completely honest. I think Logan Gilbert pitches against, I'm not sure who's going actually for Texas tomorrow, but I know Gilbert's already probable for tomorrow. So it's going to be an interesting series. You have 2 teams that I have loved to bet on this season, and both fair game here now. So maybe if one of these guys sweeps this series or something like that, we ban the other team. If Texas sweeps Seattle, Seattle's probably right back in the ban house. But give me Texas on the money line. Total sitting at 8 runs right now. 9 runs right now. I kind of am on the fence with this one. I do think that these are 2 high-powered offenses, but I just read off the stats, right? Like the offenses haven't been all that crazy, but when they play each other, they do score a decent amount of runs. Last 2 games against one another, 12-3 and 16-6. I'll lean towards the over here, even though, like I said, those offenses have been struggling. I think that that's more or less what's going to be the discrepancy between the teams, not necessarily runs scored. So I'll take the over in this spot, even though I like these pitchers. They are, they have been pretty mediocre except for their last start. And there's probably so many people watching being like, I don't care about your drama and your ban list of these 2 teams. But you know what? It's my show. I want to talk about it. All right. It's entertaining to me. Like, I'll watch this game with a little bit more juice in the system because I'm like, all right, these are two teams that I almost banned, like blah, blah, blah. Might not matter to 99.99999% of people, but it matters to this guy. I'm a lunatic. I know. All right, Minnesota taking on the Angels here. We just had the starter announced for the Angels, Davis Daniel, who, to be completely honest with you guys, I don't know him. I don't have much research on him. Haven't seen him. But Minnesota heavily juiced in this one, minus 260. The total's at 8.5. I'm going to continue to do what seems to be working. And look at Minnesota here, but they're heavily juiced, so I don't think we make them any sort of a final play. Maybe if we throw out a parlay or something like that, we'll probably have a 3-man hit parlay over on Sleeper, guys. So make sure to follow me on Twitter at EvGuyBoston. Make sure you see that. But I guess I'll lean towards the under as well. Minnesota's cashed the under here in a few straight games, so yeah, I'll take the under. Don't love this spot. Just way too much juice to be paying towards Minnesota, to be honest. All right, Houston taking on Kansas City. You have to imagine Houston's coming into this with a little bit more edge and juice than they normally would, right? If you don't know what I'm talking about, last time they played, which is only a week ago, Kansas City took 2 of 3 in this series. Everyone's laughing at Houston because Kansas City kind of like punked them, right? Now Houston's coming off of, they have not been the same since. They lose 2 of 3 against Baltimore. They just haven't been playing all their great baseball. They've lost 6 of their last 10. I think that I like them on the run line today. You can get that over on Caesars right now, minus 1.5 for minus 105. I think that they come out big against this team. Cole Ragans starting to look like a human. I told you guys how, like, I love this guy. Like, he pitches well. 5 earned runs in his last start, which was against this Houston team. I want to make that clear. 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, a home run let up, 17 pitches per inning. Plenty of that sounds great, right? But plenty of it doesn't sound all that great. And wouldn't you know who's pitching against Kansas City today? Framber Valdez, who has looked great, obviously on the year, but also as of late here. So I will take Framber Valdez in this spot. He's got a 1.71 ERA over his last 3 with a 1.05. In his last start against Kansas City here, he had 7 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 5 Ks, 13 pitches per inning, and only 1 walk, no home run. So give me Houston on the run line for minus 105. There's some value there. That's got a strong chance of being a final play. In terms of the total, 8, I did like the under because I don't think Kansas City is going to get much today. But if you're a baseball bettor, you understand that it's tough to take a team on the run line and also take the under, you know, like you're not leaving much room for blowout potential or anything like that. So just know that if these were in a vacuum, I like the under, but I do like Houston on the run line more than I do the under. So if you don't see the under in the final plays, it was that close, but I don't want conflicting bets all the time, right? If anything, I like like we talked about, it was the Phillies and the Mets. Like, I like bets that seem like they may help each other versus the latter. So, or the opposite. So I'll take Houston on the run line here. Minus 105. I think there's good value there. And I think that if they don't win this game, yikes, right? Like, if they don't, yikes. So I'll take them on the run line. All right, guys, we got San Diego taking on Seattle. Actually, before we even get into that game, I did want to say we have tons of football content out on the channel right now. Go check out H to H. If you're watching right now, that is a new video weekly series that we do, where me and Tassos, one of the guys on Guy Boston sports staff, kind of my right-hand man, if you will, my right-hand man, if you will, the head of content and everything like that for the company. We have a video that we're doing every single week. It's called H to H, head to head, where we go round by round, 4 rounds total, and make football picks against one another, and may the best man, whoever makes the most money that weekend, wins. Really, really cool show. I don't think it's getting the love that it deserves. It's a unique show. We spin a wheel to decide what type of bets we roll with. We're taking some big high, plus 250 type bets. Go check it out, guys. If you are a football fan, would mean a lot if you go check that video out. Comment that you came from the picks video here. So it's right on the channel. Go comment that you came from the picks video, and hit that like button, because that show is super fun to do. And honestly, not to get on a rant here, but if you guys do support me, which I know plenty of you do, and crazy that plenty of you are still watching, that thing takes me so long to edit that, we record it late, and then all of a sudden, the next day I'm spending a lot of time editing it. I want to see that be a success. I really do. Like, curtain fully peeled back, I want that show to be a success, and it has been so far, but I want that thing to blow up. So go check out H to H, guys. I do think it's an entertaining show. But let's get back to baseball here. We do have San Diego taking on St. Louis. San Diego right now minus 144 on the money line here. St. Louis has owned this sort of matchup over the years. Going back to 2021, they're 7-3 against San Diego, but San Diego has pretty much owned everyone that they've played as of late. Caveat: they've played the Oakland Athletics and the Colorado Rockies in their last 6 games, and they have won 7 in a row. They took 2 of 3 against the Dodgers, so there's a little bit of like a, credence to their success, right? On the mound today is going to be Matt Waldron, who middle of the road guy going up against Dakota Hudson, who has struggled, and that's where the pick kind of comes down to. You have a hotter team. I don't care who they've been playing, but Matt Waldron versus Dakota Hudson, you're not getting, it's like the lesser of 2 evils in my brain, and San Diego's just way better of a team. So minus 144, I'll pull the trigger on that most likely, or at least in terms of lean, it's a strong lean. And this St. Louis offense has not looked great against righties. 219 average in their last 10 with 3.3 runs per 9, and then a 276 on base percentage against righties over their last 5. So I'll take San Diego in this spot. In terms of the total, I'm going to lean towards the under here because though San Diego has been scoring winning a decent amount of games, they haven't necessarily been scoring a decent amount of runs. And like I just read off, I don't really trust the St. Louis offense at all. All right, Oakland taking on Detroit. Much like yesterday, I do like Detroit in this spot. They have Sawyer, Gibson, Long on the mound for them today. His couple starts in the season haven't been all that terrible. Going up against Ken Waldichuk, who, I can't believe I'm saying this, has looked decent as of late. In terms of where this comes out on the offensive end here, I think Detroit obviously is the better offense, and they're playing against a lefty today in which they do bat lefties really well. In their last 10, 281 average, 378 on base percentage, 8.7 runs per 9. But in their last 5, you shrink that sample size, both these teams absolutely stink. So I'm going to lean towards the under first and foremost, even though it is such a low number, because I know these pitchers aren't that great. Sawyer, Gibson, Long has looked okay, pretty good, I should say, actually. Ken Waldichuk has looked better than what I think he is, but I don't think these offenses are really there. So Detroit, like I said, the reason that I like them here on the money line, I guess you could say, is because they have been batting well over their last 10, but as of late, both these teams struggling against lefties and righties. So, yeah. Give me Detroit to slightly edge out, maybe in like a 4-3 type game, 4-2, that type of thing. I'd be pretty pressed to make a final play in this spot, but those are my leans. I'm going to lean towards the under, which you may even be able to get at 8 on some books right now. I'm sure you can, because right now the line is 7.5 over on FanDuel, but it's even odds at plus 100. So I'm sure we could even buy up to 8 and look at minus 115-ish, minus 112 type odds. And then also Detroit on the money line in terms of this game, but not the sexiest of games, not an instant classic. We know that. All right, Dodgers taking on San Francisco here. Dodgers win game number 1, 7-2. Doesn't really surprise me much. We don't know what the odds are, the lines, or anything like that right now because we don't know who's pitching for the Dodgers here. We do know Menea's on the mound for the San Francisco Giants. He hasn't looked all that great, but the left-handed side for the pitchers is where the Dodgers have struggled just a tad as of late. On the season, only batting .245 against lefties. In their last 10 here, batting .224. In their last 5, it gets slightly better, batting .269, but that on-base percentage seems super low still in the 260s. So I like the Dodgers. They are the better team, but it may be worth considering if the Dodgers throw out Joe Schmo. You might be looking at San Francisco for some decent plus money. Last night they were plus 162, and the Dodgers, they swept, I think it was Seattle, right? And they took 2 of 3 against Detroit. They won this first game in San Francisco, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're due for some sort of a loss. So I'm not saying I lean San Francisco. I want to know what the odds are. Like I lean, it's going to be confusing, like a lot of this video has been, because these matchups are weird. I like LA to win this game, but if the odds are like crazy juiced, I'm not going to consider it. In fact, because the Dodgers do and sometimes will struggle against lefties, if we're looking at like some serious near plus 200 odds for San Francisco, might be worth the flyer. All right, we'll see what the total is. Yesterday was 8.5, and they scored 9 runs. I doubt it changes all that much, but keep an eye on the pinned comment for any final plays in this game and any other games, guys. And yeah, I know we had a bunch of games in this video where we don't have lines, don't have pitchers. It's super early. I'd rather grind and go through the game even without that than to just be like, we don't know this stuff, I'm not going to do the video, or I'm not going to cover that game. I like talking about each and every game. I know a lot of channels have great videos and they give you 1 or 2 or 3 picks, right? That's what we do when we're on the road and we're on vacation. But I like to go through each and every game on the slate, whether it's basketball, baseball, NFL. We do it for Sundays. Like I just have fun talking sports and talking about everything with you guys versus just like my picks. We have all of our final plays in the pinned comment. We recap it at the end of the month, all that type of thing. But I do like talking about leans and everything like that too. So don't want to get on a rant here. This is already a long video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well. So close to 30,000 subscribers. it blows my mind, guys. Like, we're gonna hit 30,000. I'm gonna celebrate it for a second, and then we're on to the next thing. Like, that's crazy that we're moving at this pace, putting out this many videos. We're on pace to put another 15 to 17 videos out myself on the channel this week, which is crazy, but I love doing it. You guys make it worth it. So yeah, without further ado, we'll let you guys go. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. We'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, peace out.